Hello, this is social selling and systems expert Brenda Ster, and welcome back to Sassy Soundbites, the show where we talk about building your social selling or digital marketing business with confidence, systems, AI, and just a little bit of sass. Okay, I want to start today with a thought that I know has crossed your mind at least once, probably while scrolling, maybe with a Diet Coke in hand, wondering why your content is doing absolutely nothing. And the thought is this: maybe my niche is just too small. Now listen, I'm not here to shame that thought. I get it. When you're showing up, posting consistently, doing all the right things, and still not seeing growth, your brain is going to try to solve the problem. And the easiest explanation is, well, maybe there just aren't enough people out there for what I do. But what if I told you that's not actually the problem? Your niche is not too small. You're just looking for your audience in the wrong places. And more importantly, you're using the wrong type of content for where you are in your funnel. Let's talk about this, because this is one of those shifts that once it clicks, you can't unsee it. We've all heard the phrase, niches get riches. Yes, I've said it too. It's not wrong. But somewhere along the way, that advice got twisted into something way more limiting. It turned into only talk about your product, only post inside your niche, only speak to people who are already interested. And that sounds strategic, but it's actually the fastest way to stall your growth. Because that kind of content is bottom of the funnel content. That is content for people who already know what they want, already understand the problem, and are close to making a decision, which is great, but that's a very small group of people. So if that's all you're creating, you're basically hosting a party and only inviting people who were already planning to come, and then wondering why it feels a little quiet. Here's the shift that changes everything. Your audience does not live inside your niche. They visit your niche when they need something. But the rest of the time, they are living their lives. They're in the school pickup line. They're watching reality TV at night. They're listening to podcasts while folding laundry. They're thinking about their energy, their identity, what's next for them, and also what's for dinner, because that question never ends. They are not thinking about your product all day long, even though, respectfully, they should be. So if your content only shows up when they are already thinking about your niche, you are invisible the rest of the time. This is where the funnel comes in. At the top of your funnel, your job is not to sell. Your job is to be seen. And that requires a completely different type of content. Top of funnel content is where you cast a wide net. You connect through shared experiences. You step into conversations your audience is already having in spaces they are already hanging out. And spoiler alert, that is usually not on your page yet. But most people skip this. They go straight to product posts, tips, tutorials, and sales messaging, which are all valuable, but they belong further down the funnel. So what ends up happening is you're trying to grow your audience with content that was designed to convert it. And that is like trying to propose on the first date. It's bold, but also a little alarming. So let's simplify this. At the top of your funnel, your goal is reach. That means your content needs to feel broader, more relatable, more connected to everyday life. This is where you tap into parallel interests, aligned experiences, complementary topics, emotions, struggles, real life situations. This is where you meet people where they are, not where you wish they were. Then, as people move deeper into your world, your content gets more specific. You layer in education, solutions, and eventually your product or offer. Wide first, specific later. You cannot skip the wide net and go straight to the hook. And here's my favorite way to think about this. Instead of asking, how do I find more people in my niche? Start asking, where else do my people exist? Because your ideal client is not just a customer. She's a whole human. She has a life, a rhythm, interests, habits, thoughts that have nothing to do with your product, but everything to do with how she connects. Maybe she's a woman over 40 trying to figure out what's next. Maybe she's balancing work and family and quietly craving something that feels like hers again. Maybe she wants more energy, more confidence, more space to just be herself. Now look at her actual life. She's watching TV. She's listening to true crime. She's trying to eat better, sleep better, feel better. She's organizing her house, her calendar, and her brain. Because honestly, same. None of that is technically your niche. But all of that is your entry point. Let me give you a quick example. I have a client who writes fantasy books. If she only talks about her book, she's creating bottom of funnel content. That's for people who already know they like fantasy. But at the top of her funnel, her audience also loves gaming, cosplay, storytelling, and escaping real life for a little bit. So instead of leading with buy my book, she creates content like what kind of character would you be in a fantasy world, or signs you would survive a dystopian universe. That pulls people in. Then she brings them into her world. Now let's bring this a little closer to home for my direct and social sellers. Most of you are living at the bottom of the funnel. You're posting product features, promotions, benefits, and again, not wrong, just incomplete. Because your audience is not just buyers, it's women living real lives. Women who are overwhelmed, stretched thin, navigating identity shifts, craving something that feels like theirs. So instead of leading with the product, you lead with the life. You say things like, do you ever feel like everyone else gets your best energy? Or somewhere along the way, you stopped showing up for yourself. And suddenly, people lean in because they feel seen. Then, as they move deeper into your content, your product becomes relevant. Not forced, not awkward, just natural. Now let's talk about one more thing that keeps people stuck: watching competitor content. If your entire strategy is based on what other people in your niche are posting, you are only seeing bottom of funnel content. You are seeing what works for people who already have an audience, not how they built that audience. And that will keep you in a loop because they didn't grow by only talking about their product. They grew by connecting with people outside of it first. When this clicks, everything gets easier. You stop asking, is this on niche? And you start asking, where does this fit in my funnel? You start realizing not every post is meant to sell. Not every post is meant to educate. Some posts are simply meant to attract, and those are often the ones that grow your audience the fastest. So if you've been feeling like your niche is too small, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need a bigger niche. You need a better funnel strategy. At the top, you cast a wide net. In the middle, you build connection and understanding. At the bottom, you introduce your product and invite the sale. Your audience is not all standing in one place waiting for you. They are moving through different layers of awareness, and your content should meet them at each one. Sassy Soundbites is sponsored by Social Systems Insider, the cozy email membership to make more money in your social selling or digital marketing business by building smart strategies, smart systems, and smart tech. Join hundreds of other insiders who get exclusive new coaching content every Tuesday. Head to brendaster.com/insider to learn more and claim your first month free. See you right back here next week for more Sassy Soundbites.